Hey, what's up? It's Brian Altano here at IGN at Gamescom now. The Gamescom show floor is absolutely massive and packed with treasures, including here at the retro area, which is Hall 10-2, this amazing display case of 30 years of Game Boy goodness. The Game Boy just turned 30 years old, and so let's celebrate it, because this case is packed with treasures. Up here we have the Game Boy Pocket, which was the one of the smaller iterations of the original Game Boy design. The original's back there, as you can see. It's got the big fat buttons on it. It took 4 giant AA batteries. It had a red light to indicate that the batteries were on, which we now know to mean the battery's about to die, so things change. This is F1 Race. It was the first game to use the 4-player adapter, which actually let you daisy chain 4 Game Boys together to do a racing game, which wasn't very fun, but it was really novel and interesting. The iconic packaging for the Game Boy in the background, that's actually the North American packaging, but we did get to see it in other regions as well. It has those awesome like laser graphic hologram fingers in the back. Here's the Game Boy camera and the Game Boy printer, which let you take photos and then print them on sticker paper. This is a really novel thing to have a handheld portable printing system that actually worked better than probably the system or the printer you had at home at the time, because those are notoriously terrible to use. Down here, we start to get into the games, some of my favorite of all time, including Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. We have the European box art, the Japanese box art for the color version, and the Japanese box art for the original version. In America, it was called DX, and same with overseas. That's when they added a color dungeon and other colors for the Game Boy Color release. This box art's absolutely beautiful. And this is paired with the Super Game Boy, which allowed you to play Game Boy games on your television for the very first time. We were so used to seeing Game Boy games this big on tiny little puke green screens. So finally playing those on your full screen and being able to color swap on them and add borders was one of the coolest things in the world. Over here, Donkey Kong, otherwise known as Donkey Kong 94. I will say straight up the best Donkey Kong game ever made. Super Mario Land, not the best Mario game ever made, but a really novel and interesting one. It let you jump on turtles and they blew up. Also, you could shoot fireballs and they ricocheted, which is super weird. You can try that out in Mario Maker 2. In the back, Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, was the first time we ever got to see Wario in a video game, and he's still gross and horrible. That game rules. Pokemon, small game, you've probably heard of it, only took the world by storm for decades, and it's still one of the most popular things in the world. We're getting a brand new Pokemon game on Switch this year, and that's going to be a big deal. Down here, the only way to carry your Game Boy anywhere in style was with a giant pink fanny pack, or that weird pouch in the back. I didn't actually wear either of these things, but if you did, that's okay. I don't judge you. Maybe you got beat up in school over it, but so did I, but for completely unrelated things. Down here, Bart Simpson's Escape from Camp Deadly. Game Boy's awesome. The Simpsons are awesome. Surely the game must be good, right? No. No. It's very, very, very bad. But I played it a lot because I didn't know better. Childhood. Tetris. One of the best-selling games ever made. This is the game that you saw business people on airplanes playing, in suits. This normalized video games for us like hardcore nerds to all of a sudden walk around the world and see Tetris everywhere. People were playing video games everywhere. Adults, like respectable adults with ties. It's crazy. How do they let us do what we do? Down here, we have a bunch of strategy guides, including this one, which I want to break the glass and steal because I actually collect Link's Awakening strategy guides because I'm insane. And this is the German version of that has some of the best original art in the world. It's super rare. It's on eBay. If you have an extra copy at home, hit me up, DM me. We can trade addresses. I'll buy it off you. Give me a good deal. I really need it. Right here, this is the DX strategy guide that came out in Japan. Actually, no, that's the manga. I have that as well. So this basically tells the illustrated story of Link's Awakening, which is getting a remake on September 20th on Nintendo Switch this year. Over here, this is the Japanese strategy guide, which is all black and white and really cool. Back there, a giant deformed-headed child tells you how to play Game Boy. That's definitely incredibly, ridiculously unofficial, so don't trust it. In the corner, this is the Super Game Boy strategy guide. You probably wonder why a peripheral needed a strategy guide. Well, a lot of people were playing those games for the very first time on the Super Game Boy. It also showed you the best colors to pick for each game. So if you want to play Zelda, you could play it like that and maybe change the entire world to be green or blue. If you want it to be weird, it's all red and there's blood trees everywhere. It's terrifying. And down here, this is the Mogul Power 2002 for Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. More cheats. Once again, ridiculously unofficial and probably illegal. But that is 30 years of Game Boy goodness in one glass case. It's super cool. Happy birthday to the Game Boy. One of my favorite systems of all time. I really, really hope Nintendo makes a Game Boy Classic, like a tiny one with a bunch of games on it. But in the meantime, I'll take a Switch Lite and Link's Awakening coming September 20th. We've got plenty more retro coverage here at IGN Gamescom now, so don't go anywhere.